Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. A bit ago we had a presentation at a club meeting by Kip Christiansen on design. Now I have seen a lot of design presentations over the years, and most of the time I come away without anything really significant. There's the 2/3, the golden mean, there's the flow of the curve. All that is good stuff, but what can I really do with that to make it better? Or they show two things and say this one looks better than this, but why? Okay, well with Kip it was a little bit different, because he actually gave something that I think was very concrete that will help me in designing turnings that I make. The thing that was different that I will now adopt is that he passed out to us slips of paper that then were the size of wood pieces that he could then was prepared to turn, and asked us to then take the paper. And so it was the size that he had. So let's just cut this piece down. And okay, let's say about that long. And let's say it was about maybe a 2-inch wide piece. Okay, so then his suggestion was, this is the paper, fold it in half, and then with your scissors, or you could trace it first, but cut a form that would be appropriate for the wood that you're working with. And so let's just say something like that, and then unfold it. Well, that can be how you turn the vase. Well, but he said, well, don't just do one, do multiples. And compare them and talk to other people and say, hey, do you like this form or that form? And then find out which one, at least to you, looks better for your piece of wood. I really like that. And so that's the part I'm going to take away. In fact, he gathered up all the papers from the group, and then he chose one and tweaked it a little bit, and then he turned it for an example. That's this one. It happened to be mine. Well, shock and amazement. Now, let's take that a step further. Why not put a grid on it so that if you want to, you can measure it, or you can look at it and say, okay, by that, where that grid intersects that line, that's about the size of it. So that's one thing that I would add to this. And you could also trace the inner, he said to trace the inner profile a little bit too, to see what you like there. Now, that's really great for solid work, but what about segmented work? Well, segmented work, I've been drawing my designs out on the computer for a very long time, but it always seems that they look a little bit different when it's reality. So why not do the same thing for segmented work? Take the paper, well, okay, well, instead of being constrained by the wood, I'm going to build the wood out of segments. So let's make it with for sure a grid this time, and say, okay, well, let's do a little bit different design, and let's take it maybe somewhat like this, and maybe make this more like another vase. Now, I don't know whether this one looks good or not. In fact, it doesn't look that good, but this is for an example. And then unfold it. It looks pretty fat to me. So, okay, it's only paper, so why not take it a bit more. And, well, let's see. Well, it's kind of fat down here. Well, that's about it, the 2/3 or 3/4. That doesn't look very good. Let's clip it there. Maybe the inside goes somewhat like that for the top profile. In any case, do the same thing for segmented, but then lay out the segments that you want. You can determine the diameters that you want. Then I would suggest that you take a piece of paper, tape it to the piece of paper so that you can write all your notes around it. In fact, that's what I did with this one, which I'm going to make. I actually went one step further for this one, since I'm experimenting with something that's on a slant, and made a different grid where the paper actually has a 20-degree slanted grid on it. So with that, then I could do the same thing, cut it out, lay it out, and then measure the lines with the calipers and say, oh, well, there's the radius at this point, so then my segment length is this. So that will be this piece, which is still in process, and we'll talk about that in a different project. So I hope that this will help your design, as I think it's going to help mine. So use your grid, wear your face mask for shielding, because you never know when something's going to fly apart, and have a good time turning.